The UIM F1H2O World Championship returns to Doha, Qatar. A peninsula surrounded by sea, Qatar is the perfect venue for marine motorsports. Touting itself as the powerboating capital of the world, Qatar has hosted races from virtually every powerboat World Series, from F1 to Class 1, Nations Cup, F4, and Aquabike. Doha used to be a quiet seaside town, a trading port that subsisted mainly on fishing and pearl diving. But within just a few decades, skyscrapers sprouted out of the sands, giving way to a modern, bustling, cosmopolitan, and sophisticated city that has taken center stage internationally, being home to Al Jazeera, as well as one of the world's most impressive Islamic history museums, and of course, hosting the 2022 World Cup. F1H2O has an illustrious history in Doha, as the Qatar Marine Sports Federation and its president Sheikh Hassan bin Jabir Al Thani welcomed 19 pilots from 9 teams and 13 countries to the 11th Grand Prix of Qatar, round 4 of the 2013 UIM F1H2O World Championship. With just 2 more rounds left in Abu Dhabi and Sharjah, the competition is intense. Let's take a look back at the last race. Round 3 took place in stunning Liuzhou, China, located on the banks of the scenic Li River. Thousands of spectators gathered for a fantastic race that shook up the world standings. Sean Torrente of Qatar team was at the top of the world standings. Trouble for him began in qualifying as his teammate, 2-time defending world champion Alex Corella, took the pole with Torrente in second. Corella led the China Grand Prix from start to finish, and the long-awaited win catapulted him back in contention for a 3rd straight World Championship title for the young Italian. He had a slow start to the year, managing 2 third places in the first 2 rounds. Can he stay at the top with 3 more rounds to go?
This race will be, yes, important, and at the same time I don't want to make crazy things because we have still 2 races until then, so it will be important, but we have to keep the point and not make stupid things for sure.
Torrente was in second position at the China GP until an electrical problem threw a wrench in his plans. He kept racing, salvaging 5 points, but it was a disappointing result for the fiery Miami-based American, who dropped to 4th overall.
What's driving me for this race is championship points. We went into China leading. We were having a great race. We were going to come out with the lead and had an electrical gremlin put us 9 points back. So this is a really pivotal race in my championship. If I want to win this championship, I need to beat the guys that are ahead of me. I'm 9 points back of the lead, and a lot can change quickly. I mean, Alex went from 4th to 1st. Real quick, I went from 1st to 4th. So for me, it's really about winning this race. I mean, I know I say that all the time, but I need a little bit of luck to go my way in the little things and do what I normally do, and we can win.
Capitalizing on the misfortune of his arch-rival Torrente was Sammy Celio of Mad Croc team, who finished runner-up in China, making him joint world standings leader with Corella on 44 points. He's back on track to upset the Qatar team.
This competition is very hard, and that's it. So we need to see. We try our best, and the gear, my boat and engine should be fine. So I hope they stay together and have the good speed.
Philip Schiapp of CTIC China team was 3rd in home waters, keeping him firmly in the race for the World Championship, which was bolstered by his first ever win in round 2 in Kiev. Returning this season is South African team Caldwell Racing, the only team to run 4-stroke engines, with a new pilot, Paul Shepard, in number 25, and Ivan Brigada back in number 26.
For this race, our target is to finish the race and maybe collect some points in the World Championship. But I'm confident that it's going good.
wheels turning with every race, there are other dark horses in the ranks ready to contend for the championship title. Motorsport racing is all about the motors. Two-time F1H2O world champion Jonathan Jones explains the ins and outs of the F1 engine.
So here we have a typical Formula One engine. This is a Mercury 2.5 litre two-stroke V6 engine. And basically it starts life at about 200 horsepower, and then we have these engine gurus from around the world that tune these engines up to about 400 horsepower. Here today we have one of the leading tuners in the world. His name's Alex Ledden. He's from Montreal. Just tell us a little bit about the engine, and as an engine tuner, what do you actually do to get the power out of these motors?
Okay, well basically we have two aims. The first aim being reliability, the second aim power, because at the end you still have to finish the race.
Yeah.
So we're limited in some ways, and everything is a compromise, but basically what we do is we change the cylinders themselves and the porting, that is the size of the ports in the cylinder itself, the location of them. We also do some work on the connecting rods. We do work on the internal, what we call the porting, meaning opening and changing the shape of the passages so that we can get more air in. By that same token, of course, we have to be able to get more air into the front of the engine. So we have these SVSs, as we call them, which are side throttle devices, which allow more air into the engine than normal. So that an engine that starts at about 200 horsepower ends up close to 400.
So basically what we're looking here is they change the front end of the engine so they can get more air into the engine. They change the pistons, they change the liners, pretty much change everything just to get that extra horsepower. But as Alex said, what's very important is you need horsepower, but you need reliability. Otherwise you're not going to finish the race.
Qualifying session is divided into 3 rounds. In Q3, 19 boats have 20 minutes to make the cut for the 12 slots in Q2, where another 6 boats will be eliminated, leaving the final 6 boats to battle it out for pole position in Q3.
Well, qualifying is very important now in Formula One. I mean, if you can manage to be in the top 3, 4, 5, it's very, very important. You will have a more easy race than coming from the back. And past 3 races this year, I've been chasing in the back, and it's very, very difficult. I mean, so obviously today is nearly even more important than the race day.
It's a unique course for the Qatar Grand Prix. Team Nautica's Marit Stromoy of Norway breaks it down for us.
Well, the course is new this year, so we'll see what happens when you come out there. And normally the conditions here are a little tricky. Sometimes you will have in some rollers that you can't see before it's there. But we'll see. I mean, it's the same for everyone, so...
In Q1, Stromoy unfortunately didn't make the cut, nor did her teammate Rinaldo Osculati. Valerio Lagianella of Singa F1 Racing Team also had a rough day. Duarte Benavente of F1 GC Atlantic Team dueled with young Chinese driver Liu Zhong of CTIC China Team for 12th qualifying spot, with Zhong coming up trumps as he made his first Q2. Benavente's teammate Yusuf Al-Rabayan did well to qualify for Q2, as did another young driver, Philip Roms of Mad Croc. Bartek Marsalik of Singa Team crashed out earlier in practice. Also unable to make the cut were Caldwell Racing's Ivan Brigada and Paul Shepard. In Q2, conditions got rougher and windier. Terry Rinker of Team Azerbaijan struggled, unable to even beat his Q1 time. The big fight in Q2 was between Rinker's teammate Jonas Andersson, Ahmed Al-Hamali of Team Abu Dhabi, and Francesco Cantando of Singa F1 Racing Team. Andersson finally beat Al-Hamali and Cantando for the qualifying spot. The big contenders, Al-Kamzi, Celio, Chiap, Carella, and Torrente, all easily made their way into Q3. In Q3, boats have the course to themselves and 2 laps each to set their fastest times. Conditions were still tricky, especially around Buoy 2.
Very windy, very wavy. It's too rough and good luck for everybody.
Andersson went out first and set a cracking time of 46.18 seconds. Al-Kamzi was more than 2 seconds off the pace, while Celio, also disappointing, off the pace by 0.07 of a second. Chiap bettered Al-Kamzi's time, but he wasn't fast enough to beat Andersson and Celio. With 2 boats left, Andersson was guaranteed at least a 3rd place. Torrente went out and nabbed provisional pole from Andersson with a time of 45.88 seconds. That left one man, Alex Carella. With local crowds cheering on, Carella ran an impeccable lap, winning pole position. Team Qatar has yet another 1-2 start for the Grand Prix race.
I find the perfect setup and I'm so happy to make this pole now, in Doha especially. This is all I want.
Crowds gathered, the teams prepared, the riders ready. The 10th Grand Prix of Qatar was underway. Starting lineup: a Team Qatar 1-2, followed by Jonas Andersson in 3rd, ahead of Celio and Chiap. Andersson is a former winner here. Can he capitalize on his 3rd place in the starting grid?
For sure, we're going to try to do the best. We find a good setup now in the free practice, and I'm going to try to beat the Qatar boys to the first turn, but they are very fast, so anything can happen, and we see after the first turn.
Andersson will have the likes of Celio, Chiap, and Cantando right behind him. In those final few minutes to the countdown, you could cut the tension with a knife. And when the lights go, that tension is released in a roaring cloud of adrenaline, gasoline, and water as boats hit speeds of 150 kilometers an hour on the all-important starting straight. The race is on. Carella and Torrente dart down that 450-meter straight to the commitment buoy. Cantando and Rinker pull ahead of Al Rubayan. Sami Celio in 4th position, keeping up with the Qatar boats. He collides with Andersson on his port side and flies over Chiap's wake and strikes Cantando. There it is again. What a blow! The Finnish pilot is out, and so is Cantando. With his Mad Croc rival out at the very start, Carella's biggest competition now is his teammate Torrente, as the 2 take charge of the race early on. Coming down that 255-meter straight to buoy number 2, Andersson in 3rd behind Carella and Torrente. Chiap right behind Andersson, followed by Thani Al-Kamzi, Yusuf Al Rubayan, Ahmed Al-Hamali, and Terry Rinker. Portuguese pilot Duarte Benavente of F1 GC Atlantic team overtakes South African Paul Shepherd of Caldwell Racing. And there's a disappointing sight as 2-time world champion Celio's boat gets towed back to the wet pit. But that's no skin off Corella and Torrente's back as the Qataris flourish early on here in their home waters. Alex Corella has won pole here before, but he's never won a Qatar Grand Prix. This is his chance. Behind the Qatari boats, a huge battle unfolding between Jonas Anderson of Team Azerbaijan and CTIC China Team's Philip Shiap. Further back, the unfortunate Celio's young teammate Philip Roms passes Shiap's teammate Leo Zhang, the two youngest F1 pilots, off to a good start. At the end of the first of 38 laps, Al-Kamzi in the top 5 just ahead of Yusuf Al-Rubayan of Kuwait. At the back of the field, Singa F1 Racing Team's Polish pilot Bartek Marsalek in 16th position. Let's take another look at that eventful start. The Qatari fleet leads the field to the first buoy amid 10,000 horsepower. Ivan Brigada tucks in behind the other boat's wake. Al-Hamali sandwiched between his teammate Al-Kamzi and Cantando to his right. And there you see Celio fly off Shiap's wake and collide with Cantando. There it is in slow motion. Anderson bumps from the left. Shiap comes across from the right. Celio's race is over. Back to the action now, and Alex Corella already overtakes backmarkers like Zhang as the two-time defending world champion continues his perfect start to the race. His teammate Torrente is right behind him, but Corella already has nearly a 6-second lead over Torrente. That's how fast Alex Corella is right now. 10 seconds behind Torrente is Jonas Anderson. There we see him lose a piece of his hull, but it doesn't unfaze him. A former winner here and 2009 world runner-up Pani Al-Kamzi of the UAE in 5th position behind Shiap. Behind Al-Kamzi, Yusuf Al-Rubayan laps one of the Caldwell boats, and you can see how tough it is driving into the sun on that stretch between the 2nd and 4th buoys. Visibility very limited. Corella, meanwhile, has been enjoying a perfect boat setup. His team has worked hard to get that boat just right. It paid off for qualifying, now it's paying off for the race. Shiap is fast out there, but he's going to have to come up with something special to pass Anderson. Shiap's new, more designed and built boat did wonders for him when he won in Kiev, but can he repeat that performance again this year? In lap 11, Anderson hangs on to 3rd, fending off Shiap. Shiap comes very close there. He's virtually neck and neck with the Swede. Anderson hangs on, trying to get to that turn before Shiap. And he does it. Shiap goes wide to get some speed off the relatively flat water, building up some pace as he enters into that 500-meter straightaway to the yellow right-hander at buoy number 3. This'll give you an idea of how tough F1 racing is. You have sun in your eyes, a narrow windshield constantly under spray, variable water conditions, and wind getting tunneled through those skyscrapers. Meanwhile, you've got to keep that boat from flying off as you glide on mere inches under your hull. And you have to do that at high speed with incredible G-force on every turn. Duarte Benavente of F1 GC Atlantic team in 9th position, getting lapped by Torrente to his port side. Torrente has had 2 podiums so far this year, but a win has still eluded him. Yusuf Al-Rubayan, meanwhile, is smooth and steady in 6th position. He came up from F2, and he's been in 8 Grand Prix so far, still yet to experience a podium finish in his brief career. With 20 laps gone, Corella is looking indomitable in the lead ahead of Torrente. With no changes in the top 9 boats, this is a difficult course to overtake on. Terry Rinker of Team Azerbaijan has moved up to 8th spot behind Al-Hamali, and Marit Stromley of Team Nautica in 10th, just ahead of young Philip Roms. Ahmed Al-Hamali has had a cautious return to racing following a health scare, and we're yet to see the best of him this season. Unfortunately, he's unable to finish the race here, as is his teammate Al-Kamzi. That moves Rinker into 7th spot. He's dominated F1 racing in the States, and he proved he can race with the best of them with a runner-up finish in Sharjah last year. At the back of the field, Rinaldo Oscolati of Team Nautica laps Paul Shepard of Caldwell Racing. With just 9 laps left in the race, Carella is jealously guarding that lead as he remains on course for a memorable first win in Qatar's home waters. Carella maintains a 6-second lead over Torrente and a whopping 32-second lead over third-placed Anderson. Rinker 7th, Stromoy 9th, Roms in the top 10. Polish pilot Bartek Marszalek also making his way steadily up the field in 13th position. Jean Torrente nearly loses control of his machine there. Look at him fly. That was a close call. It cost him some ground with Carella. Meanwhile, with just 6 laps to go, a titanic struggle continues to unfold between Anderson and Schiap. The Frenchman and Swede nipping and tucking in a never-ending dogfight, with the experienced 4-time Grand Prix winning Anderson holding his ground in the face of the continued French onslaught. Last year's world runner-up is giving it his all out there, pushing it to the max. But perhaps he pushes it too hard as he misses a buoy. That could be a very costly error and jeopardize Schiap's world title hopes. There it is on the replay. He's been under Anderson's spray the whole race. A moment's confusion, and he may be looking at possible disqualification. Carella laps Terry Rinker as he continues on his way, and the laps wind down in this race. But Arubayan, who is a lap down, suddenly looks to be going faster than Carella. Carella seems to have a problem with just a few laps left in the race. Sure enough, Torrente is catching up with him. There's a collision. Torrente and Rinker collide. Rinker's boat is in bad shape after a double barrel roll. A cruel blow for the American, who is in 6th position. Let's see that on the replay. Carella seems to be slowing down. Torrente sees his chance on the inside, doesn't see Rinker there, and the two collide. And there it is again from another angle. Rinker was unhurt, but far from happy. But the most eventful part of the race would come at the yellow flag as Alex Carella comes to a standstill with just 2 laps to go. Talk about crossing an ocean and drowning in a river. That means Torrente is in 1st position. The American's luck has turned, this time in his favor, as the man from Miami finally wins his first ever race. And where better than in Qatar? He celebrates his win with a little show that caps off a great day for Torrente. But not everybody was happy. Team Azerbaijan were furious.
What else could I have done to avoid it?
I'm not saying it's your fault.
I know it's not my fault.
I'm not saying it's your fault, but I'm not saying it's his either. There were 4 boats right there. Well, so when you come out from lane...
you come from lane 4 and you have 4 boats and he goes to lane 1.
But you were doing that every lap.
Brandon,
you can't say that you didn't do it.
Not really.
Even Lewis came to talk to me. Like I said, Lewis didn't come to talk to me.
Just some bad luck, I guess. You know, we were running a good race, running a good, clean race, and you know, the leaders came by. We gave them room. You know, gave them the lanes. Sean was just to my outside, swinging wide. I guess he thought he had a shot at passing Alex, and didn't realize I was still there. Turned as tight as I could, right on the buoy slow, and number 2 boat, Mr. Torrente, decided he wanted to occupy that same spot. Nothing I could do about it. You know, I certainly can't take the blame for it. I think there's another driver that probably should accept that responsibility.
I feel terrible for Rinker. I had no idea he was there. I was literally passing for the lead. That's all I was looking at. So I hope he's all right. But finally. Qatar, number 1, baby, Qatar.
Jonas Anderson successfully holds off Schiap for 38 laps to get runner-up position, his best result in years. This has truly been a race of firsts. And there we see Torrente celebrate. It was a long time coming. Torrente receives his trophy from Sheikh Hassan. But there's bad news for Schiap, who was on the podium in 3rd. He was later disqualified due to an engine infringement. That moves Yusuf Al-Rabayan into 3rd, with his F1 GC Atlantic teammate Duarte Benavente finishing 4th. Also, career best results for Moritz Stromoy in 5th and Philip Roms in 6th. Following a no-points race for both Celio and Schiap and the last-minute breakdown for Corella, Torrente shoots back to the top of the world standings, 7 points clear of Corella. Qatar team also dominates the team standings, 52 points clear of Matt Kroc.
Yeah, for sure. It's 4 years since I was on the podium in Formula 1, so I'm very happy to be back where the team belongs.
Man, I'm so happy. I didn't think it was ever going to come, and I honestly didn't think it was going to come here with about 10 to go, but we just kept fighting. Things went our way at the end somehow. Somehow, some way, we ended up winning, and that's the way it goes sometimes. Finally, we got a little luck going our way, and I'm so happy for my guys. My team worked so hard. They deserve this so much, so thankful for all the support we get from our team, from Qatar, and now to Abu Dhabi.
That brings to a close a cracking round 4. Join us in Abu Dhabi for the penultimate round of the 2013 UIM F1H2O World Championship.